and welcome to all the lovely children watching from Glenwood, from Point of View and from Windsor Oaks Elementary. We are so happy to have you here and, well, to also show you the African lions. Aren't they incredible? But before I tell you too much more about them, my name is Taylor, and on camera with me this afternoon we've got Gendre. Now, it was quite interesting trying to find these lions. We went the scenic way round. We actually discovered that they're not too far from a road, but it was the more adventurous route. But nevertheless, we finally got these wonderful cats. Now, I've been on holiday for the last 2 weeks, so I haven't seen these beautiful cats for quite some time. And I must tell you, I cannot believe how big these cubs have got. It looks as though they've tripled in size. So if you've got any questions about these wonderful creatures, and I hope you've been asking lots and lots of questions, we'd love to hear from you. Remember, you can ask your teacher anything you like. Now, we're looking at these lovely lions, and I don't know if you noticed, not the whole pride is here. So we've only got 4 lionesses, and then we've got 6 of the cubs, so we're missing 1 lioness. Now, looking at this pride dynamic, this is typically what you will see in a family of lions. Now, Isabel, you were wondering, is it the females that do the hunting, or is it the males? And what is their favorite food? Now, it's quite interesting. It's both of the males and the females. So the boys aren't here at the moment, but that's okay. They're probably off doing a territorial patrol, so marking their boundaries, just making sure that no other males are trying to come through. And I'll get back to your question now. You can see it's quite hot here. It's 101 Fahrenheit. You can see the lions were panting, and this little one is bothering mom and trying to suckle, but they're a bit too old now to be suckling. So Isabel, why lions are so successful is because they hunt in pride. So they're the only cat that will hunt in a group. The other cats are all solitary, which means that they're on their own, which makes it obviously very difficult for them. So the females are the most important when it comes to hunting, because they don't have those big manes that the males have. So it's easier for them to hide in short grass on big open plains. But in an area like we're in at the moment, there's quite a different type of vegetation. You can see there's trees, there's fallen logs, there's some grass, there's a little bit of everything here. So having a big mane doesn't mean that you're going to be spotted as easily as if they were hunting out in a big open grassland. So they do a lot of hunting here. However, if they do go to an open area where the grass is quite short, they'll maybe hang back. Now, the favorite food of the lions is buffalo. Sorry, the heat has melted my brain. So that's what they like to eat, but they'll really catch anything they can get their paws onto. Now, Camden, you were wondering if they will attack us because we're so close. Luckily not, because we've been interacting with these animals for over 30 years. That's a long time. So they've got quite used to us driving around in these vehicles, making noise, listening to me talk or sneeze or do all sorts of crazy things. So they've basically become habituated, which means that they are now used to us. They're not tame. We don't feed them. They hunt for themselves. They drink their own water. So we just come in here, we drive around, we stop at a comfortable distance. If they show us that they're not very happy with us, we maybe move a little bit further back. If they're still unhappy with us, then we will leave them alone. And this is the process of habituation. So if you see a leopard for the first time that's maybe come from an area, or even a lion that doesn't know vehicles too well, you'll keep your distance. And every time you have an interaction with it, you try and make it a good interaction, so that eventually they'll be so relaxed with us that they'll come walking right on by. Can you believe that? And it's important, though, if you do, or if you're lucky enough to come on safari, you've got to stay sitting down, because if you stand up, you break the outside shape of the vehicle, and that's what could get the attraction of the lions. We're going to sit here for a little bit longer, but we're going to go across to James, who I believe has got a beautiful antelope to show you. You can see they haven't sort of changed too much. They're still fast asleep. This is very typical of lions, especially on a hot summer's day like what we've experienced. And, well, I think that they're probably going to continue sleeping. You can see that little one at the back panting a lot quicker than what mom is. And these poor little cubs are still going to have to get used to the extreme temperatures. Remember, this is their first summer, real summer, and we've only just started to hit the high sort of 40 degrees Celsius, or reaching high 90s, even into the hundreds, but eventually they'll get used to it. Now, speaking about them trying to cool themselves down, Jordan, you were wondering exactly that. And you can see how they have increased their breathing. You see how their tummies are moving up and down, up and down, up and down. That is the main way that a lion will cool itself down, by panting, very much like your dog does. So opening its mouth, breathing in the cool air, and exhaling and inhaling quite quickly. Fortunately, they don't sweat very well like we as humans do. And another thing that they will do is, if it's exceptionally hot, is often you'll see them going to lay down near maybe a dam or a watering hole of some sort, and they'll actually lay on top of the mud that's sort of hard enough that they're not going to sink into, but because it's nice and sort of wet, it'll be nice and cool as well. Otherwise, they just have to find themselves a good spot under a shady tree, and that does the trick too. Look at all the insects crawling on a... Look at all those little ants and things crawling around on that lion's face. Now, Hasta, you're wondering how old are the cubs that we're looking at? My goodness. Now, we as guides have a tendency to do this, where we forget how old the animals are, and we keep them at the same age for about a year. So I've heard, and I must say I'm guilty of it. I used to do it when I was starting off. I'd forget that they have aged because we see them every day, and after 3 or 4 months we were still calling lion cubs 6 months old. Meantime, they were almost at a year old. So now, we've only got one little cub left that's probably at about 5 months now, and she's lying in the middle, tucked away between her siblings. Can you see this little lion cub there? That is my favorite little lion cub. So I reckon she is probably nearing 5 months old now, maybe just shy of that. And the two laying next to her don't look like the two big ones, or maybe the one big one on the left is probably almost 7 months old now. And the one on the right, probably slightly younger, maybe almost at 6 months, or probably around 6 months now. Time flies, but somewhere around there. And the other two look like the two bigger ones. They're lying just off into the distance. I don't know if you can see. You can see one lying just behind the lioness. That's one of the younger ones, also almost at about 6 months. And then one lying sideways. That's one of the older ones, almost 7 months. And while very cheekily, I don't know if you can see it from there, but behind the trees, one of the older cubs is actually trying to suckle still. Now, Cameron, you're wondering, why do they sleep so long? And this is very important, going back to their hunting strategy. So lions need to rest and try and have as much energy as they can stored up so that they can make a successful hunt. Remember, lions are not very good hunters. So out of, say, every 10 attempts that they make to try and catch something, they may only catch something every 3 times. And if they spend their days running around and doing all sorts of other things, then they won't have enough energy to take down a big animal like a buffalo. Remember, a buffalo probably weighs 3 or 4 times the weight of a lion. So they've got to have lots and lots of energy. Now, I don't know if you can see, there's a couple of little bugs flying around me, and occasionally they're landing on my face and on my hands. They're little stingless bees, and they're obviously just lapping up some of the moisture. We're trying to actually look for one and see if we can get one to land on us. Let's see. But they probably won't now. This is the case most of the time. Let me just have a look here. Oh, we've got a little bit of movement over there. Some of them starting to wake up very slightly now. Now, Aiden, you're wondering, how long can lions live for? Well, it depends on if they're a boy or a girl. But the girls live a little bit longer. They can live up to about 15, 16 years. That's quite old for a lioness. And the boys, they don't really live for too much longer than about, I would say, at an absolute maximum, about 12 years old. And that's for a really old lion. I'd say the average lifespan is around 10 years old. But I don't think that are going to do very much just yet. Now, looking at all these wonderful little cubs we've been seeing, Sean, you were wondering how many cubs can a lioness have at once? She can have up to 6, but 6 little cubs is not very common. They can have anywhere between 2 and 4. That sort of seems to be a common number. Normally when a lioness has cubs for the first time, from my experience, I've seen that they generally only have about 2 cubs, and then sort of as they go on, they can have up to about 4 cubs. You can imagine one little cub is a handful. Can you imagine having 6 of them running around? And well, there are 6 of them in this pride, but they all belong to different mothers. This is lovely, and this is very much what lions will do all day. Now, Ryla, you're wondering if lions are cold-blooded or warm-blooded. They're very much like us, so my earpiece decided to pop out, get back in there naughty, and they're warm-blooded. So they don't need to sit on the rocks like the reptiles and bask in the sun to try and get themselves nice and warm. They're quite happily able to do that on their own. And every now and then in winter you'll see them cuddling up, like you will cuddle up under your duvet or cuddle your teddy to keep yourselves nice and warm. Well, they just cuddle each other. But keeping warm is not really a problem for them. It's trying to stay nice and cool on these hot summer's days that prove a little bit more challenging for them. But I reckon this evening maybe they'll get up and go and have a little look around for something to eat, maybe even something to drink. But they don't have to drink every single day. And that's because when they are successful and catch something, when they feed on the blood, that does have quite a bit of water in it. Now, Cosmo, you were wondering if a male lion is bigger than a female lion, or was it the other way around? Sorry, I completely missed that. But it is the males that are bigger than the girls. Sorry, I swapped that around. Is a female lion bigger than a male lion? So no, they aren't. Unfortunately, the boys are much bigger than the girls, as with most of the mammal species, where the males, the boys, are bigger than the females. There's an exception, though. And that exception is with the hyenas. Can you believe that? That a female hyena, a girl hyena, is much bigger than a boy hyena, which is quite interesting. But hopefully we'll find some of those for you to have a look at. But they're quite secretive. We don't see them too often. We normally just hear them. But it's really impressive if you're lucky enough to spot a big male lion. They are quite impressive. Now, speaking about things that they like to catch, and I said earlier that they like to catch a buffalo. Now, Brianna, you were wondering, why do the lions hunt at night? Now, it's not just at night time that they hunt. They can actually hunt any time of the day, and they're known as opportunistic feeders. So basically, what that means is that even though they're just sitting here sleeping, if a warthog or a buffalo or anything came sort of stumbling past here and they didn't know that the lions were here, they'd get up and they'd try and hunt it. Even if it was in the middle of the day and it was scorching hot, they would still try and catch something. Remember, out of every 10 attempts that they make to try and catch an animal, they might only be successful about 3 times. So they can't let any opportunity go to waste. So I'm sure you've heard the term, a cat nap. That's what they're doing now. They've still got an eye open and they're still listening. You can see, like this female, see how she's just popped her head up just to check around her? Now, Cameron, you were wondering if lions hunt in a pack. They are the only social cat in the world, and that's what makes them so successful. Now, I know Brent is just trying to get to me on the radio. Let me quickly have a chat to him. Standing by, Brent. They were sort of in the middle, I suppose closer to the western side, but they didn't stay on the road for too long. They disappeared, sort of going in a northerly direction off the road again. Okay, just helping Brent. We had some leopard tracks that we found this morning, so I know he's trying to follow up on them. And it seems as though Karula had popped onto the property. And I know that Tingana also came racing through at some point. He just left his tracks behind for us to see. but unfortunately he's moved on. So hopefully Brent finds a leopard for us. He's a very good tracker, and I have no doubt that he'll most likely be successful. But you can see these little cubs though, they get a bit bored of lying around like the adults. So sometimes what they'll do is that they'll wake up a couple of times during the day and play around and jump on each other and then go back to sleep. And they don't have to worry about hunting because they've got mom doing the work for them still. But as they get older, they'll start to enjoy the sleeps. Oh, look how this lioness is stretching out. Now, Matthew, you were wondering if lions have any predators. They do indeed, even though they are the supposed king of the jungle, or the king of the savannah. Other lions can be predators towards other lions. Hyenas, even a leopard to some lion cubs would be a predator. Even a big eagle. I've actually watched a tawny eagle almost snatch up a leopard cub before, so you can imagine it would be able to do the same thing to a lion cub. And even the favorite food of the lion, the buffalo, sometimes the tables turn and the buffalo will actually kill lions. So it can be quite dangerous for these lions out here. But when the animals pick up on them, if they can, they'll give them a wide berth, so they'll give them a lot of space, and well, they'll just keep moving on. You can see that little one now having a little bit of a drink. I don't know if this lioness is still producing any milk though, as these cubs that are trying to suckle are getting too old now and are eating solids. Now looking at these beautiful little cubs, and I can't believe how big they've got. Justin, you were asking when will the lion cubs start hunting. I must tell you something interesting. I saw something quite incredible about a month ago. We were sitting with the lions and they managed to catch a baby buffalo. Now, it's obviously very sad, but the lions need to eat too. That's what you must remember. And especially those little baby lions need to get food. If mom doesn't eat, mom can't produce any milk. But these youngsters are eating solids now, so they're eating the buffalo. And it was the most incredible experience where the little lions had an opportunity to practice all the techniques and how they jump on each other and bite each other. They're practicing, and what they'll do is those things that they practice on each other, they'll eventually use to bring down the prey that they're trying to capture. And they got to practice on a buffalo, a live buffalo, and I've never seen anything like that before at such a young age. Normally cheetahs, the mothers will bring back food that they haven't quite killed properly, and then they can learn like that, but it's not really the case with lions. So when these lions get to about a year and a half or so, they're going to start going out on the hunts with the adults and watching sort of the adults as they do their things and hanging back. But it's very stressful for the adult lions because the little ones get quite excited and sometimes they race out thinking that they're doing good to try and bring down an animal, but in the end they end up ruining a hunt. So they've got, or they have a lot to learn before they become successful hunters like the adults. But unfortunately, it's time for myself and Gendre to say goodbye. And it's been wonderful. I hope that you've enjoyed these lovely lions. And, well, hope you keep on watching and see what they get up to a little bit later. But from myself and Gendre, have a wonderful afternoon or morning, whatever the time may be. We're going to go over to James now. We are still with the wonderful Nkuhumas. Now, we're starting to actually see a little bit more action now, which is wonderful. The little darlings are rolling around. I'm not sure if that's because they're waking up or if the bugs have eventually gotten to them and annoyed them to the point that they have to move around a little bit. But it seems to be a trend this afternoon amongst the Nkuhumas to sort of lay on your back with your legs spread, starting with the little cub. And then with the lioness at the back as well. She's also dangled up against the fallen tree. And I just can't believe that these cubs are still wanting to suckle, especially the older ones. They're being a bit cheeky now. But it's so lovely to see them, and it's incredible to see how their condition has improved incredibly since the last time I saw them. I was very, very saddened by their state as to how thin they were, and sort of what they were looking like. So I'm really, really happy to see that they're looking a lot better and are moving around with ease this time around. I'm waiting for my favorite little girl who's sleeping at the back to wake up so I can have a good look at her. But she's not cooperating at the moment. It just seems this little boy is having a good afternoon and trying to wake everybody up. Checking all the lionesses to see if they are lactating. Now, no, she's clearly not. Now, I haven't been able to work out who's missing just yet. I'm trying to figure out if it is Amber Eyes or the youngest lioness. I'm not too sure just yet. But I suspect it is Amber Eyes that could be missing, because it looks like it's the youngest lioness that's just lying off to the right of this cub, because she had an awfully pink nose. And of course she's got no suckle marks or anything, so it's one of the two. But we'll have a look when they stand up. It will make it a little bit easier. Hello guys. Ah, he's on an adventure. What are you going to get up to this afternoon, young man? Bless you. Go to the toilet. Check. They're almost quite predictable, aren't they, these lions? They always do the same thing. Go and wake your sibling up. Now this little bush willow is obviously perfectly in the way, but that's all right. I don't think he'll be there for too long. Come on, little flip-flop girl, wake up. Now, AJ, you were wondering, and it's something that we've actually been chatting about quite a bit over the last few months. Well, definitely a hot topic since I've been working here at Wild Earth. Now, you were wondering, if the lion cubs have mange, will it make its way around the entire pride? It indeed will, and it indeed has, especially amongst the cubs. But they seem to be doing all right. There's a couple, like he looks like he's quite patchy on the elbows, but now I'm uncertain if that is just a combination of maybe mud or buffalo feces. I'm not sure when they ate last, or if it is actually a bit of mange. But I think that they'll be fine. I think they've made it past the worst stages now, and the condition of the animals should start improving. Not just with the lions, but of course with the quality of grass, which means that the quality of meat from the buffalo in particular will start to improve too. Now, I was chatting to a couple of the guides down in the south, and a few of them were telling me that the lions down there, the Southern Pride, started to show some interesting behavior, very much like what we started seeing up here, with the cubs going from being so energetic to lethargic, and you could see their hips protruding, and then they started not being able to walk properly. And isn't that amazing? So it seems as though they also picked up that white muscle disease. I can't remember if any of the cubs passed away or not, but they even started seeing it in the adults, starting to almost look like they had hip dysplasia. I always like to describe it like that, because that's what it reminded me of when I used to have a German Shepherd as she got older. And but it seems as though they're okay now as well, since they've had a bit of rain and the grass has come through, so that's lucky. But it does make me feel, and I suppose it's the wrong way to say it, but it was nice to know it wasn't just the Nkuhumas that were affected by it, is that it was affecting the different lions in the area as well. Because I think, in general, the Nkuhumas are quite a strong pride. The lionesses look like they've got fantastic genes. They're not small lions, and they don't seem to really have any mange. And I think that those genes are going to shine through with these Nkuhuma cubs, and I think that they've sort of proven it now. They look fantastic. They've tripled in size. They don't look like the same things, the same little lions I saw just 2 weeks ago. But I think what we're going to do is we're probably going to go for a little drive and see what else we can find, but we'll be back here, and hopefully when we do come back, they would have woken up. But let's go back across to Brent and see how his hot afternoon is doing.
Hello, kitties. I'm sorry I gave you such a big fright while I was walking this morning. There we go, a carpet of cats. They've moved a little bit out of the drainage line, and I think that is almost certainly, with the direction the wind's blowing, what spooked those impala. A bit of lion flatulence. Well, if you're an impala with all those babies, you've got to be careful at the moment. They're all looking relatively well fed. There we go, one of the little cubbies still suckling. Oh, fat bellies. You guys been having a good time in the West, apart from being chased by the murderous Majinga lions. Seems like you were well fed while you were over there. Now, that guy is wondering, does a lion's heel touch the ground when it walks? Well, I suppose it all depends on what you consider its heel. So, I mean, there's the adult lioness on the far right. I think that front left paw is the best one. There we go. So, well, if you consider up where the dew claw is, sorry, to the right, but and there we go. See, there's that other pad above the rest of the pad. If you consider that the heel, I suppose that is the heel, and it does not touch the ground. So what we're looking at is that the front pad, you can see the 3 lobes and the toes there, that touches the ground. That top pad up there where the dew claw is does not touch the ground. So it depends on what you consider a lion's heel. So if you consider the dew claw the heel, indeed it doesn't. But if you consider the main pad of the heel, indeed it does. Well, these lions don't look like they're going to be doing much, do they, Brian? Now, quick cub count. How many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So still all 6 present and accounted for. I think they're going to be loving this windy weather. And Sharon was wondering how many cubs. All 6 present and accounted for. Sharon. Oh, was that thunder? There's lots of lightning and thunder. We've got some fluffy cloud build up around us. Hello, Pete. Pete would like to know, will lions hunt during a thunderstorm? Indeedy, Pete. I've actually seen some of the more spectacular lion kills that I've seen in my life have been during a thunderstorm. Although I'm not sure how high on the list hunting is for these quite fat-looking Nkuhumas. Hello. Swapping suckling. Now, probably only a month or so of suckling left before the mothers are going to stop producing milk. Oh, they must be loving this cool weather. Actually, Brian, I've got an idea. There's lightning ahead of us. There's a lightning there. I think that's a prettier cloud, though. Okay, we're going to just move. I'm going to try get a wide shot. So those screenshotters out there, get your fingers ready for the speedy screenshot. I'm not sure how to do a screenshot, but so I can see rain and some lightning to the sort of north of us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put us to the south of the Nkuhumas. We've got some pretty clouds to the sort of northwest of us, and maybe you might get lucky to get that very sought after lion with a lightning bolt. So you can actually see the rain there. Now, it's great to have the Nkuhumas back on Djuma. Let's hopefully they stay for a while. It's dangerous out there in the west. Oh, there we go. Did you guys get it? How cool was that? It was just a little bit to the left. Lightning next time we want to be... So the lightning last time was there. We want the lightning to be there. Let me get my finger out, because obviously Murphy's Law, while I'm waving my big fat finger around, the lightning will strike. Now, this is almost ideal weather for these kitty cats. It's nice and cool. Oh, that wasn't good enough. We need a nice bolt or some sheet lightning. Some sheet lightning to go across the clouds. Oh, there we go. Oh, who was quick enough? Who was quick enough? If you've got a screenshot of the lightning and the lions, remember to share it on our Facebook page or on Twitter with the hashtag #SafariLive. Now, most photographers dream of getting a shot just like that. Myself included. Oh, there's another one. Isn't that beautiful? Now, the one thing about this, the rainy season months, is you do get some spectacular skies. And I do love myself a good thunderstorm. Only after drive, of course. And, oh, there we go, roll over. I was hoping that these guys might get a little bit, oh, there we go, more active. Oh, isn't that stunning? Look at those cumulus nimbus clouds, and you can see, you can't even see, I reckon the main anvil of that storm is well above. It's even got mini anvils down here. So when those big storms anvil, there are winds of over 1,000 kilometers inside there, and they're said to be strong enough to rip the wings off a jumbo jet. So even the big commercial airliners will fly around the storms, the big cumulus storms like that. Or fly over them if they can. Now this is quite interesting. Oh, there we go! Who got that? That was the one. That was the money. What do you think? That was a good bolt.
It was. I just kind of out the frame.
Oh dear.
It was there, but it wasn't.
Oh dear. Yeah, I think so guys, we normally, obviously, you know, we move around our shots a lot, but I think we're gonna stick with this one. Standing by, Andrew. Oh, that was a good one. I think I got that one. Andrew, go ahead. Oh, that was also a good one. Nothing further. One station with Nkuhuma's off the power lines, and that's it. Between Triple M and Impala Road, they're lying right out in the open on that Sodic area. Isn't this absolutely spectacular? That was a good one. Now, William is wondering, is the storm heading our way? William, it's very unusual for us to get rain from that direction, but it might be, but it almost seems like we're in the sort of middle zone between two storms at the moment, so it's possible that one of them might come in. Yeah, it's Brent, just me here. You're more than welcome to make your way. Isn't this absolutely spectacular? Oh, so no one's fingers have been fast enough, but I know a lot of you record the drive, and I think there are going to be some sneaky cheats who go back, slow it down, and catch those incredible bolts of lightning with the incredible Nkuhumas. That storm does seem to be coming closer. This is absolutely spectacular. Oh, Tarjinder. Oh, that was the big one. Tarjinder says, you know what we've got here? Tarjinder is obviously practicing for stand-up comedy. He says, we've got Thundercats. There was a Thundercat named after a lion.
Was it? Lino.
There was a cheetah, was it?
Cheetah?
Cheetah was a Thundercat.
Lino?
Lino, yeah, there was a Thundercat named after a lion. Ooh, we might even get some sheet lightning now. And hopefully the cats are going to get a bit more mobile. Imagine a lovely picture. Ooh, there's more there. As the Nkuhumas stretch with the lightning coming through. Well, Olivia has posted one of her lightning screenshots on Facebook. Well, thanks very much, Olivia. I look forward to actually having a look through all of them. I'm sure you guys are going to get some special ones. Well, it sounds like a lot of you are getting some great shots of the lightning and the lions, and they're coming up on Twitter and on Facebook, and I'm a bit jealous. I think I might get one or two, but I'm biding my time. Oh, I missed it. Hi, Graham. Graham would like to know if we can hear the thunder. He says they don't seem to be hearing it on stream. I would say it's still quite far away. The next bolt of lightning I see, I'll do a count to see how long or how far away it is. One, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000, 8, 1,000, 1,000, 10, 1,000, 11, 1,000. Oof. It's more than 12 kilometers away, but I think there's different lightning in different areas. Ooh. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000. 6 Ks. That one was a bit closer. Oh, flop down, kitty. So this is actually ideal big cat hunting weather. And a lot of the antelope, their hearing, their smell will all be compromised in this weather, enabling the big cats to get a bit closer. Oh, that one looked like it was a bit closer. Oh, the lions heard something. So we know there's a big herd of impala. They got a fright, and I think they smelt the lions a bit earlier. Definitely coming closer, that lightning. Oh, it seems like Taylor has managed to fix her problem on Jigger, so she's back out. Let's go see what her plans are.